If you're in financial marketing, you know the feeling. Every single move you make is under a microscope. And that intense pressure can feel like a huge roadblock. But what if I told you it could actually be your greatest competitive advantage? In this explainer, we're going to break down exactly how you can make that happen.
This is the big question, right? It's the one on every marketing leader's mind in banking, finance, and insurance. Do you push for aggressive growth and risk a huge regulatory penalty? Or do you play it so safe that you get completely left in the dust by all the nimble fintechs? It feels like an impossible choice. But what if it's a false one?
So here's our game plan. We'll start by digging into that core dilemma and the regulatory maze. Then we'll shift gears and lay out a framework for growth, look at strategies that are actually winning, figure out how to measure the real ROI, and then we'll wrap it all up with a clear roadmap you can use. Okay, first up, the growth versus risk dilemma. Now, this isn't just some business school theory. This is the day-to-day reality for financial marketers. It's a high-wire balancing act where the consequences are massive.
See, on one side, you have this incredible pressure to grow. You've got fintechs nipping at your heels, and the C-suite is demanding more clicks, more conversions, more market share. But on the other side, there's this paralyzing pull of compliance. One wrong move with customer data or a misleading ad claim can lead to some really severe penalties. It's a constant tug of war.
So, let's meet the antagonist in our story, this incredibly complex web of regulations. And it's not just one set of rules, is it? No, it's this multi-layered, always changing maze that marketers have to find their way through every single day.
I mean, just look at this. You've got these global giants like GDPR, India's very own DPDP Act, and then all the industry-specific rules from the RBI and SEBI. Throw in advertising standards and cross-border data rules, and the sheer volume of it all makes it feel like mistakes are almost inevitable.
And just how real is that risk? 730. That is the number of disciplinary actions from just one regulator in 2024 alone. This isn't some hypothetical threat. It is a daily reality.
Okay, enough about the problem. Let's pivot. Let's start talking about the solution. This is where we completely flip the script. We stop seeing compliance as a blocker and start seeing it as the foundation for powerful, sustainable growth.
And the solution revolves around this concept called compliant automation. Now, what's that? Well, imagine this. Instead of your legal team doing a review at the very end of a project, what if compliance was just built in from the start? We're talking about real-time checks and audit trails embedded right into the marketing tools you already use. It makes compliance automatic, not an afterthought.
All right, so with that framework in mind, let's look at the strategies that actually put it into practice. How do you turn this idea of compliant automation into real-world results that move the needle?
First on the list, hyper-personalization. This is all about using customer data to create those incredibly powerful one-to-one marketing experiences that we all want, but, and this is the key, doing it in a way that strictly respects consent and all the privacy rules. You only use data fields that you have explicit approval for. That way, you're being both effective and ethical.
And the payoff for getting this right is huge. We are not talking about small, incremental gains here. Companies that nail this see a 30 to 45% uplift in qualified leads. That is a massive business driver, and it's all built on that foundation of trust and compliance.
Next, let's talk about leads. You know, the old way was all about volume. Just get as many leads into the funnel as you can. The new, much smarter way is to use AI to focus on value. AI models can score and prioritize your leads based not just on their intent to buy, but also on whether they are already compliance validated.
And this simple shift has a profound effect on your efficiency. When you focus only on the highest value pre-vetted leads, you can reduce marketing waste by up to 35%. That's less time chasing dead ends and way more time focusing on opportunities that are actually going to convert. And finally, there's the content that really ties it all together. Publishing authoritative, regulatory-aligned thought leadership doesn't just sell a product, it builds the trust that makes everything else possible. It cements your credibility and satisfies those advertising mandates all at once. Of course, none of these strategies really matter if you can't prove that they work. So how do you measure success in such a tightly regulated world? Well, I can tell you one thing. The old vanity metrics just aren't going to cut it anymore. This new reality demands new metrics. So forget about simple ROI. We need to start measuring compliance-adjusted ROI, which accounts for the true cost of doing business. Stop tracking just any old conversion, start tracking the conversion rate of qualified leads that actually pass your risk checks. It's a much smarter and, frankly, a more honest way to look at your performance.
And here is the proof in action. A leading private bank implemented this exact framework, and they saw a staggering 45% increase in qualified leads for their loan applications, all while maintaining 100% compliance. That's growth and compliance working together.
And this is not an isolated case. We see it happening all across the industry. A health insurer boosting renewals by 30% with consent-driven personalization. A financier cutting their compliance review time by 60% with AI. The results are consistent and they are clear.
So the results are pretty compelling. The question now is, how do you get started? This isn't a switch you can just flip overnight, but there is a very clear, actionable path to get you there.
The path forward can really be broken down into 4 manageable steps. First, audit your current process to find where the gaps are. Second, integrate the right tech stack. Third, deploy pilot campaigns with real-time monitoring. And fourth, and this one's crucial, create a system to optimize and adapt as the regulations inevitably change. This makes the whole transformation feel achievable.
You know, ultimately, it all comes down to this one idea. Compliance is non-negotiable, sure, but it doesn't have to stifle your growth. With the right framework, it actually becomes the very foundation for building a faster, smarter, and more sustainable business.
So we'll leave you with this one final thought. Right now, today, is your marketing a potential liability, a source of constant risk that keeps you up at night, or is it your greatest competitive asset, powering growth in a way that your rivals just can't match? The choice and the opportunity is yours.